So let's talk about this notion of being married to someone you do not like.
My dad really didn't care about, oh, I'm going to like you. We're going to go hang out together. For him, he's like, is this going to be a good wife?
Right. Right.
Is this going to be a good mother to my children?
I mean, the question is, though, do you stay with someone you do not like? What do you do when you discover you're in a relationship and you don't really like your person? Hi, guys. Welcome back to the More That From Mamas. In case you're new here, make sure you're tuned into our Instagram, More That From Mamas, Twitter, okay, Facebook. We're all over the place. So just make sure you're following us for more great videos. So today, sis, let's talk about this notion of being married to someone you do not like. Tell me, have you encountered that with friends, family, anybody?
No. But I'm thinking maybe this is about maybe my parents. My dad really didn't care about, oh, I'm going to like you. We're going to go hang out together. For him, he's like, is this going to be a good wife?
Right. Right.
Is this going to be a good mother to my children?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an generation. I would argue, it wasn't necessary that I like you.
Yeah.
But me, I don't like him. I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, haven't you ever had someone you love but you don't necessarily like? Let's not even talk about romantic relationship. Let's just talk about friends, family. I mean, haven't you had a cousin, someone that you love because that is what is expected of you to love this person, but liking them is a whole other story because they're not necessarily likable.
But V, that's fine. Those are people that you don't engage with every day. Are you kidding me? Are you going to have a husband that you don't like?
I think I've met people who don't necessarily like each other. And why this, I don't know if it's something that's from the beginning. I don't know if it's something that you learn along the way. Like you marry a person and then you realize, okay, maybe this person is not what I thought they were. Or maybe there's things they're doing that don't necessarily make them like, for example, say I'm a guy or a chick who's not into gossip and my partner is such a gossip. And before someone crosses the road to a neighborhood, they've already gone to next door and spoken to the next person. So what if you find a character in your spouse that is not necessarily something that you subscribe to? And you realize that there's little things about you may love the person overall, but there's little things about them that just make them not so likable.
But we have those things. I mean, there are things that I'm sure my husband doesn't like about me. I mean, I'm not a perfect person, but that doesn't mean, to me, when you say that you don't like somebody, it's like you don't like spending time with them. Like you cannot hang out with them.
Right. Haven't you seen husbands who go out to party? Not even to party. After the events that we have, right? We have a barbecue and there's someone who always never brings their wife or their husband. Yes. And when that person is there, everybody's like, oh, okay, the mood is spoiled because...
Yes. Yeah. I've seen that. I've also seen, when whoever it is that, if it's your husband, if you come with your husband, you're not yourself. You're not kind of, happy person. And if your husband comes with the wife, he's very stiff.
Yes, not his usual self. Like Kamal is always laughing, but every time Velma is around, he's like, he's in the corner sitting, his legs are crossed, he doesn't participate, his jokes are not so funny anymore.
Isn't that being held hostage? I mean, oh my goodness, you have one life to live.
True story. I mean, this time around, you have one life to live, but there's people who stay in it. I mean, another thing I'll think of is when you end up dating someone who checks off the list, especially for your family. They're good at this, that, the other. Perfect husband, good man, went to school, good family. He'll be a good father. Yeah. And then you're with this person and you're married because, he checks off all the boxes, right? And then you're sitting in your house one day and you realize, I really don't like this ninja. He is not that nice. I feel like there's some people who are stuck in relationships like that.
That is true. That is true. And especially when money is playing the key in the role.
Yeah.
I've seen many girls, I'm just going to be with him because he's paying my bills. I'm just going to be with him because of this kind of standard of living that, he's giving me.
He can provide. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm going to compromise everything else as long as, I have some good money coming in.
Yeah, no, but also our generation and the one before us, right? Nowadays, there's maybe a little more freedom. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. But for us, you thought about who you were bringing home, right? You didn't just say, well, I love him. It doesn't matter if he's a watchy or if he's a whatever. Like you had to think about who you were bringing home to your parents. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you ended up overlooking some things to make sure you had the kind of partner that was expected of you. Especially going into a Kwanzaa when you first born, you're not going to bring home anybody because you set the precedence for everybody else and who comes into the home, So I think that's how sometimes people end up. I mean, the question is though, do you stay with someone you do not like? What do you do when you discover you're in a relationship and you don't really like your person? Where do you go from there?
It is around this quarantine time that you realize those are the things that, can you imagine getting stuck at home for over a year now? Okay. Somebody that you don't like. That's why this quarantine has made people, either marriages broken up,
crumble. Right. Because people have so much routine, but they never really get to see, now it's me and you in this environment. People have lost jobs or they're working from home. You have to see me from the morning. When you're mnapenda kuvaa makeup before your husband wakes up, he has to see you raw dog, yani, uso yako yote until evening, you know? They get to observe your behaviors, they get to observe your mood swings, they get to observe everything.
Right. And there's no escape. You know, you would fight with your husband and say, you know what, let's go for dinner. Gonna fight and say, you know what, let's go on vacation. There was no those options.
No. Do you think though you can teach someone, especially if it's habits that are making you feel this way, that you can kind of tweak your person? And I'm not saying change, because you can never change anybody. A person can only change themselves. So do you think that there are ways though that as a couple you can come together and you can have conversations about these things that rub you the wrong way, so that you both work towards a place where you like each other and not just love?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. If somebody loves you that much, if somebody wants, you know, values you that much, then they should be able to sacrifice. Say, you know what, this, you know, and we've had those conversations. You know, marriage is hard.
Yeah.
You know, there are things that my husband didn't like about me, and probably still doesn't like about me. But you talk them out. You talk it out. You know, like, you know, try, even if it's an argument. You know, I don't like the way, you know, you approach things here and there. And if they love you enough, then sure enough, they should change. They should change to accommodate, you know, your desires, I think.
Yeah, and one important point about what you said, unfortunately, a lot of times things come up when you argue, but it's not a safe space to correct a person, I feel. So after we're done with the argument, come to me later and say, listen, Velma, listen, the way you do this, it's not really working for me. Because in the midst of an argument, then you already feel attacked. Okay, you already feel like you're in a situation, you know, Kila Kitumba is being listed. So I agree. Coming back later and speaking to your person. I mean, we always advocate for therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. And nowadays there's virtual therapy. If you can't afford it, even those self-help books, there's a lot of really good books on Kindle, download, read about what the thing is. Don't just ignore it, because that will never change it. And if anything, it will drive a bigger wedge between you and your person, whether it's your girl, your boy, whoever it is.
Can I ask you, who do you think settles more? Is it the men who settle, say, you know what?
Of course, it's the women. It is definitely the women. I'm sorry, sisters, but we end up taking on dudes that are way below us. In stock, in what they can do, in what they can provide. I'm telling you, sisters, I'm not advocating for you leaving your marriage or your relationship, but I'm just saying, don't settle. My thing is, in a marriage, I'm going to work for it. In a relationship, listen, sis, there's a lot of fish in the sea. Keep it moving. You ain't got to marry somebody because you've dated them for 8 years, okay? And if you don't know what you feel about dating for 8 years, check out our other video about relationships and when you should be getting married.
And do not think that, you know what, maybe if I have children, you know, things like
it's a ghetto mess. Children do not change what's not there. Like, he's not going to magically love you. She's not going to magically love you because you have a kid together. I was just talking to a coworker yesterday, was explaining about his friend who went and shipped a girl from Liberia, because he's from Liberia, and he put her up and he bought a house and he was ready to settle and he got her pregnant. They have this beautiful child. You know, she's doing partying every night. Okay, so he's sitting at home crying and oh my God. You gotta know the person. Let's not just have children out here. These children need love. They need a strong relationship. They need functional parents.
Right. But going back to, you know, people that you don't like, do you think that mostly it's also like in an arranged marriage?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it.
Yeah. Your parents think, you know, this is a good girl to marry. You don't want pressure from anybody, right? Mm-hmm. You settle them. And then, my gosh, you look at the two people, you're like, my gosh, what do they have in common?
But don't we do that even as peers, especially again, our generation, right? We sit with a girl and we're like, listen, you're smart, you've gone to school, what are you waiting for? Even the guys, right? You've got a good job. And I find myself dealing with some of my friends too. I'm like, if me, I've had a kid, what are you doing? Then you got to catch yourself. Yes. Everybody has their own life. Everybody has their own plan in the universe. And I think, a lot of it, curbing it will be just letting people take their time. Not everybody has to be married by 30 or by 40 or whatever.
That's a topic, especially for where you come from. When you hit certain age, everybody starts looking at you like, hey, something is missing. Like you cannot just be in your 30s and nothing is going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It is. But guys, like Sarah said at the beginning of this, it's your life and you get one. Take stock of your own life. Because let me tell you, they're not there to wake up and feed that baby at midnight. You're by yourself. So sis, bro, make sure you're capable of it. But what advice would you give for any of our people who are watching right now and who feel like they're already caught up in a relationship where they might not really like their person? What is your parting advice?
I think focus on those things that really attracted you into this kind of a person, you know, because they're those things that you like. And you feel like you know, if you weigh them and realize, oh, the things that I like about him, they're more than what I don't like about, then you can compromise, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, if there are things that you can talk it out and change, then, you know, you can talk it out. But I don't want anybody to be not in a healthy relationship, or, you know, compromise so much that you lose yourself, or, you know, just stick to it just because.
Yeah.
You know, I think happiness, it has to be, you know, self-love. We always say, you know, self-love.
Yeah.
You know.
And while you do your little list about what is wrong with the person, one thing I've learned is also to self-reflect, because a lot of times you get what you put out. So as you're looking at this person's negative, think about what parts of you are triggering that reaction, because change has to come from both of you for it to be, you know, something strong and something permanent. All right. And listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts, leave a comment, and we'll see you next time from Mamas. Bye.